Good afternoon, everyone, and today we are going to continue with our series of trigonometry, and today we are going to learn what we call trig ratio or trigonometric ratio. So what does trig ratios mean? Trig means triangle, so the word trig actually means triangle, and ratios mean you have something divided by something. For example, A divided by B. Okay, so in actual fact, there are the three formulas you need to remember for any trig ratio. The first one is sine theta equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So the short form is SOH, so, and cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Also, the short form is called CAH. And the last one, tangent theta is opposite over adjacent. So you write them as TOA. Okay, so what does theta, opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent mean? So we shall look at an example. Suppose we have a right angle triangle. For this trig ratio, it has to be a right angle. Okay, so the theta is actually an angle. It could be this angle or the other angle. Suppose we let this be theta. Okay, so if that is theta, we have learned in the previous example that the longest side is also called the hypotenuse. Okay, so the longest side is the one opposite the 90 degrees, and the side that is opposite the angle, so this side is opposite that angle, that is labeled as opposite, and the angle that is next to the angle is called adjacent. So there are the four terms that you learn. The theta represents the angle, opposite is the opposite of the angle, hypotenuse is the longer side opposite the 90 degrees, and adjacent is the side that is next to the angle. Okay, we shall look at an example how to do some question, how to find the length if given another length and an angle. So we shall look at the first example. So the first example looks like this. We look at an easy example. So this is a right angle triangle. So suppose we have 30 degrees here, and we have 10 centimeter here, and we want to find the length x. So what we're going to do, the first thing we do is we are going to label the equation. So 30 is the theta. X is opposite the angle, so it has to be the opposite. And 10 is the longer side and also opposite the 90 degrees, so that must be H. So now we have to choose one of these three formulas. So CAH or TOA. In this case, we have O and H. So that is O and H, that's A and H, that's O and A. So we have to use the sine formula. Yep. So it's going to be sine theta equals to O over H. We shall use the SO formula. Now the next step, so we use the SO formula. The next step is going to do the substitution. So we substitute them. Instead of theta, we replace by sine 30. Opposite is going to be x, and the hypotenuse is 10. Okay, if you have learned before, how do you solve algebraically? You want x, you don't want x over 10. So what you do, you multiply by 10 here, you must multiply by 10, and the 10 will cancel out. So x equals to 10 sine 30. And if you put in your calculator, it is going to be 5 centimeter long. That is how you do trig ratio for SO. We shall look at another example now. Now, second example, we have a similar triangle. This time, this 90 degrees here, and suppose this is 42 degrees, and the length here is 5 cm, and you want to find the length x. So what do? The first thing, you need to label them. To label them, again, the 42 degrees is your theta. Your x is opposite because that length is opposite of that angle, and your 5 has to be A because it's next to the angle, and that's why now you have O and A. So O and A, you have to use this formula. There's O and A here, O and H, A and H. So in this case, you can only use TOA. So the formula used is tangent theta equals to O over A. Now what's the next step? You're going to substitute the value. So instead of theta, it is 42. Tangent 42. Instead of O, it's going to be X. And instead of A, it's going to be 5. Now what you do? Now you are just going to get rid of the 5. You just multiply by 5 here. Multiply by 5 here. The 5 will cancel out. Put in your calculator, and I've done beforehand. So X is equals to 5 tangent 42. And the answer is 4.5 centimeter long. Now we'll look at a harder example. This time we want to find the angle, the length when X is at the bottom. What it means? So for example, we do the same example but different numbers. Now if I have 35 degrees here, and the length is 12 cm, and I want to find X. How would you do that? So again, label them. That is theta. X have to be the longer side, that it must be H, and 12 is opposite angle, so it has to be O. So which formula shall you use? We shall use the SO formula. Sine theta equals to O over H. Okay, good. Now we substitute. Theta is now 35, so sine 35, your opposite is 12, and now your hypotenuse is X. Previously, the numbers was 12 at the bottom, you just multiply by 12. Now we have to do a little bit more work. To do that, the simple way to do it is just to swap this number and that number around. So X goes up and sine 35 goes down. So the answer is going to be X equals to 12 divided by sine 35. And if you chuck it in your calculator, the answer is going to be 20.92 centimeter. So I repeat, if the number is at the bottom, you multiply by the number. If X at the bottom, you swap the whole thing with each other. Okay, we're looking at one last example. Okay, the last example is going to look like that. And we have X here, 8 here, and we know that the angle here is going to be 37 degrees. Okay, so how we do that? So again, we need to label them. So this must be theta. X is adjacent to the angle, next to the angle, and 8 has to be opposite. That length is actually the hypotenuse, but there's no number there, we will ignore them. So now we have O and A. Again, we have to use TOA. So tangent theta equals to O over A. That's the formula we use. So instead of theta, we're going to put in 37 there, tangent 37. O is 8 and A is X. Again, X is at the bottom. So what you do? So what you do, you're going to swap this, that number around. So X goes up and tangent 37 goes down. So X equals to 8 over tangent 37. And then put in your calculator, and the answer is 10.62 centimeter. Okay, before we even think about trigonometry, we have to know that when you set the calculator, your mode have to be in the degrees mode. If you put it in radian mode, it will not work. Okay, so hopefully you guys got the hang of it, and remember to practice how to do finding the side of a triangle given another side and an angle. Enjoy learning and have a good day.